give you a couple of notes or things to know for each section. I'm going to go, like I said, I'll focus on the odds. You don't necessarily have to show work for everything. It just depends on what's given in the problem. So the first one here, you're doing rise over run. So I just want to see that you can read the points on the graph, and then you can just count. So if I'm reading from left to right, this would be the first point. This would be the second. You're counting your rise over run. So you can either count from point to point. So it's a rise of 6. And then a run of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if I 6 over 6, this slope would reduce to 1. So on number 3, like I said, I'm going to focus on the odds. Let me get my pencil so it shows. There it goes. All right, so I'm counting from this point to the next point, go left to right. So I count up 1, 2, 3, and then to the right, 1, 2. So I went up 3, to the right 2. That reduces to just 3 over 2. Now, for this next section, for 4 through 9, you have to use your slope formula. I will have a formula chart with the formulas on it. For these sections, you have to go y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So if I'm looking at number 5, if you need to label your x1 and y1 and x2 and y2, you can. So our slope form would be, on the top would be 7 minus 7. Sorry. And then 9 minus a negative 1. Just give me a second. What number would, if you do the math on the top, 0, and then what number is going to be on the bottom? 10. What's 0 over 10 reduced to? Just 0. So if you set it up, guys, then it will, I don't know why I did that. So like if I'm doing, this is my x1, my y1, x2, y2. If I set this up, on the top is negative 9 minus 3, and then the bottom is 2 minus 2. This would be a negative 12 over 0, but anytime I have 0 at the bottom, it's undefined, or UND. What I was trying to get to is that when you set it up into the formula, negative 5 minus negative 3, 1 minus 1, if you use your calculator and you do alpha x, that gives you the fraction box. And then you get 1, oops, sorry. Forgot to put the bottom number, sorry. If you put the operation on the bottom number, 1 minus 1, if you get this, divide by 0, like that, you get that error. It's just saying that you cannot have 0 at the bottom, which means it's undefined. It would say the error up here at the bottom, divide by 0. All right, so from here, hold on just a second. Why is it doing this? All right, now we're going to ask you to put in slope-intercept form. So you have to solve for y. So that requires first to minus the x, or move the x, doing the opposite. Negative y equals negative x plus 6. We can't have a negative variable, so you have to divide everything by negative 1. So y equals positive x minus 6. Same step. First, move your x. So minus 8x minus 8x. The x terms cancel. Don't forget your sign. This is a negative 7y equals negative 8x plus 17. Then, to solve for y, you're dividing each term by a negative 7. Y equals a positive 8/7 x minus 17 over 7. So each type of question in each section is going to be a question on the test. So if you look at on our next section here, again, we're solving for y. So minus the x first. Yeah, after this one. To solve for y here, we have to divide each term by a negative 2. That gives rid of the coefficient. Our y is now going to equal a positive 1/2 x plus 6. What did you need on 11? Is that it?
I'm good.
All right. Okay, so here they want you to put it into slope-intercept form. That is the y equals mx plus b. You want to clear your fractions if you have any fractions, and then move your variables because they want it to be in standard form. So first put it in slope-intercept form. They've already gave you your m. Here it is, the slope. Here's your b, the y-intercept. So we're just plugging it in. This would be y equals negative 3/5 x minus 1. That's step 1. Step 2 is we're going to clear the fraction here. So we have to multiply both sides by 5. You multiply by the denominator. So when I do that, this is now 5y equals negative 3x minus 5. Because you're distributing it to each term. All right. Step 3 says move your variables and constants so it's ax plus by. Meaning the x and the y needs to be on the left side. So I have to move this negative 3x by doing plus 3x on both sides. So now I have 3x plus 5y equals negative 5. And that is standard form. All right, so if I do 17, put in slope-intercept form, that would be y equals 3/4 x plus 5. mx plus b. That's the first step. Now we need to clear the fraction. So how do I clear this fraction? Yep, multiply both sides by 4. So this is 4y equals 3x plus 20. All right, now we have to get the x and y terms on the left, so that's going to say minus 3x. I'm going to rewrite it here to the side. That's a negative 3x plus 4y equals 20. And we can't have our lead term be negative. That can't be. So that means we have to divide everything by negative 1. So positive 3x minus 4y equals negative 20. That is our standard form. So here I'm just showing anything times 0 is practically gone because 0 is our slope. That would mean it would simplify to just y equals 2. This would be a horizontal line. So it would be going left and right at 2. So they want you to write in the slope-intercept form of the equation of the line. First you need to find the y-intercept. If I look, this y-intercept was at a -1. Then I need another point to get my slope. This would mean I would go down 1 to the right 1. That's why the slope is -1 here. So now I'm just plugging in the parts, the m and the b. So this would be y equals a -1x minus 1. Or you can just say -x minus 1. So on 21 here, because we have this line, this is a vertical line. Vertical line is x equals the number. It's the number where it touches the x-axis, which is right here at -3. So this equation was x equals -3. If you have a horizontal line, it's y equal the y-intercept, the number. All right, when you have this, we can go to the next section, next type of questions. Make sure you know the difference between horizontal and vertical. All right, so here our steps to put it in slope-intercept form is you're going to first use point slope form because they gave you a point and a slope, which is y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus 1, x minus x1. So here's our first step, and then second is changed to slope-intercept form. So if I'm looking at 23 here, this is my x1 and my y1. And then the slope right here, this is my m. So I'm going to plug it into the y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. This represents the m, so that goes in front of the parentheses. -3 is the x1 that goes inside the parentheses. And 0 is y1 that goes in front of the equal sign. So when I change this into point slope form, this would be y minus 0 equals -4/3 parentheses x plus 3. All right, to change it to y equals mx plus b, we're solving for y. So you just have to first distribute. So when I distribute, I get y minus 0 equals -4/3 x minus 4. And then anything minus 0 is just y. So this is just going to be the y. Sorry. So y equals -4/3 x minus 4. So if you need to label your x1 and y1 and where your m is, you can, and then just plug it into the form. What? Oh. So you don't have this 24? Okay, so just go to the next one. So this is your 24. Oh, this changed to undefined? And then this one's 0. Okay, all right, I'll fix it. All right, so this one's undefined, and then this one is 0. All right. Okay, so if the slope is undefined, okay, then that means you have a vertical line. Oops. All right, so if you have a vertical line, it's x equals a number. The number is basically just the x coordinate. So this equation would just be x equals -5, and we're done. If the slope is 0, then it's a horizontal line. And if it's a horizontal line, it's y equals the y coordinate. The y coordinate here is 5, so this would be y equals 5. So those are just the special cases. There's no steps, like there's no point slope and all that stuff. You just memorize it's y equal a number, x equal a number. All right, do y'all have these 2 points next? C0. Okay, yeah. All right, so to write in slope intercept form, you first need to, if I give you 2 points, you need to first find the actual slope using the formula. So this would end up being -5 minus 2 on top and -2 minus 0 on the bottom. You can put that in the calculator and get your simplified slope. Like I can go to alpha y equals -5 minus 2 on top, and then on the bottom was our -2, 0. And then hit enter, and it reduces to 7/2. All right, now we're just gonna put it in point slope form. Oh, thank you. Point slope form means I'm gonna have y minus the y1, which is 2, equals my m, which is the 7/2, parentheses x minus x1, which is 0. Well, anything minus 0 is just x. So this is really saying y minus 2 equals 7/2x. We're solving for y. They want it in slope intercept form, so just add 2 to both sides. Y equals 7/2x plus 2. So same premise on 29. First do your slope. Use the slope formula, which I'm showing. So 0 minus 1 over -4 minus 2. This are both negatives, but it turns into a positive 1/6. Now I'm going to use point slope using the A point, the first point. So this would be y minus 1 equals the 1/6 parentheses x minus 2. Now to put in the slope intercept form, now we do need to distribute and solve for y. When I do that, y minus 1 stays, but this is 1/6x minus 1/3. We're solving for y. Huh? It's y2 minus y1. Yeah, so this is y2 over here. That's y1. You write it as a fraction though. That should be a comma.
Number 29 is different. I'll mark it.
To change it. Mhm. All right, and then the last little section is kind of putting it all together because we're looking at writing the equations based on the given information, and then also paying attention to if we have parallel or perpendicular. So make sure that we understand the relationship parallel versus for perpendicular. So here, if it's y equals the number, that number is at 3. That should be just a horizontal line here. For graphing here, we do the y-intercept first. Our slope is a -4. So that means down 4 to the right 1. So you count down 4 and then to the right 1. And then we can put a line through those points. So most of these, especially on the skill check, y'all are like in the mastery execution percentile, so I'm not really worried about that. I do want to talk about 34 and 35 standard form. This is the skill that you were working on before I left. So you needed to understand to kind of like cover up the number. Like if I'm trying to find the x-intercept, this y term is gone, and really what I have is 10x equals 20, and I'm solving for x. So you would divide by 10. So here the x-intercept is, this would be 2, 2 comma 0. You plot that point on the x-axis. Now if I'm finding the y-intercept, now the x is gone, x is 0, so that's gone, and you have 4y equals 20. If you solve for y by dividing by 4, you get 5. So this would be 0 comma 5. And you put the 5 on the y-axis. And now you have 2 points. That's all you really need to graph a line. And you connect those 2 points. So eliminate one of the variables. Like if I'm solving for x, again, oh, this is a duplicate. So we definitely don't need to do that again. And then, like I said, the last section, right equation fitting the description. I'm going to jump to the odd here. Equation in slope-intercept form, the line is parallel, so it has to have the same slope. So that means if the slope is a -6, then it's going to stay a -6 here. Containing the x-intercept 12, that's a point, 12 comma 0. That is your x1 and y1. So I'm going to start off with point slope form. Y minus 0 equals the -6m x minus 12. Distribute, simplify. So this would be y equals -6x plus 72. So if it's referring to perpendicular, remember that's an opposite reciprocal slope. So you have to flip the number and change sign. The number here that they're referring to is that -1/2. That's the m. So the perpendicular would be a +2. And this is our x1 and y1. So it's the same steps, but you just got to make sure you're doing the opposite reciprocal slope. So on 39, I had to solve for y so I could see the slope. And now I could do the perpendicular of that. If the slope is -3, then the perpendicular is positive 1/3. So if I put this in point slope, this will be y plus 2 equals 1/3 parentheses x minus 6. They want this equation in standard form, so we're going to need to distribute. Minus 2. Then I'm going to get rid of the fraction 1/3 by multiplying both sides by 3. So 3y plus 6 equals x minus 6. I'm going to move the x over, and I'm going to move this -6, a positive 6 over, so it becomes a -6. So negative x plus 3y equals -12. And I don't want it to be negative. You divide by -1. So positive x minus 3y equals a positive 12.